Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome. I am Gary Gottsom, and this is Race First coverage of Round 3 of the inaugural season of the ISRA Truck Series as we come tonight from Kentucky Speedway. Right now, it's just a solo person in the booth, just me. I think Mark is catching up and will eventually join us, I think, at some point. But welcome as we are just kicking off qualifying here. 3 minutes and 45 seconds left to play before we set the field and go racing. We have a decent-sized field. It's going to be interesting tonight. Going to be a little bit different from what we've seen the last 2 weeks, where we've been kind of in a draft mode. I think this is when the driver comes out in a lot of these cars, or a lot of these trucks. Add another nickel to the jar there. So we're going to see how the driver comes out, because this is a kind of a differently profiled Kentucky Speedway that we're used to, not as we're used to from the IndyCar side of things. Of course, IndyCar stopped running here about 2011 when they did not reprofile the course. Now, it has since then been reprofiled. Turns 1 and 2 remain there 17 degrees of banking, but turns 3 and 4 get flattened out a little bit, so kind of an opposite of Texas. Tri-ovals 8 to 10 degrees with progressive banking. And the back straight is at 4 degrees. That's how this 1.5 mile oval shakes out. Riding along with Michael Gray, the Bear. He's doing his qualification run right now. Christopher Reagan, the points leader, and it's a pretty tight points championship right now. We'll get into that here momentarily. He is currently on the pole with a 30.2. Give you a real quick translation of what that looks like in miles per hour, for those that are interested in that. There you go, 173.5. Only 3 trucks right now into the 173 bracket. They are using the apron there for qualifying, which is allowed. You see turns 1 and 2 right down on the bottom, where you pretty much would want to be anyways in a truck or an Indy car. Now the truck's going to have multiple different lines they're going to choose from going through 3 and 4. Dean Mull, I believe, is getting ready to finish or start his run. There's George Anzaldo. And the plain blue Rapper 6 coming down to complete a lap. Also, even take the green flag on that one. We're watching it here. We'll see him complete his lap here and see where he slots in. 38 seconds left to play here in qualifying. And down to the apron. Where does he slot in? 13th on the first lap. Not too bad. At 30.7. You got a higher line through 3 and 4, cutting the bottom, and he might be done. Yeah, time is running out. So 1 lap for him, and we are getting ready to set the field here at Kentucky, which really is not very far from where I'm located here in Indianapolis at all. In fact, it's a shame Indy cars do not go here again, because a lot of the same type of folk that went to would normally go to the 500, probably go to Gateway, probably went up to Chicagoland, probably went to Mid-Ohio, probably would have come to this race too. But let's go ahead and get today's starting lineup in. On the pole, Christopher Reagan with a 30.2, whole 10th faster than Dean Mall, P2. Remember, Dean was very fast last week. Had an incident where fell back into the pack for some reason, but really was integral in that win for Lionel last week. He is second with a 30.6. Richie Hearn, P3, another good qualification run for him. Matt Wagner, P4. Mike Rigney, P5. And Sam Crow in a good-looking painted truck there in P6. Moving on, Chris Fowler, 7th. Joe Hassert, 8th. Michael Gray, we saw him qualify, P9th. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is P10. Michael Goodman comes in 11th. John Van Voor Ellis, he is 12th. George Anzaldo, 13th. Cristobal Valenzuela, he's had 2 very strong races in the series so far. 14th. Ron Hacker, 15th. Last week's winner, Lionel Callisto, 16th. Hugo Gallis, 17th. Brian Beard, 18th. And I believe that is our field. Oh, Alex Guyon, he is in here as well. I want to thank him for his donation, by the way, to the broadcast fund. He is 19th. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Well, I shouldn't say that. Actually, I did it a couple weeks ago, but it's normally I do not do these alone as much as I used to in the past. I always have a color commentator kind of with me, but not. Looks like not tonight. We'll see. He said to me, I reminded him he should show up. We'll see if we have a knocking here at the door in the broadcast booth. But everyone lining up here to go racing. And let's get ready to go here. Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about when there's just one of us in the booth. Just kind of watch the lineup, the field lineup. But the field is now under the control of the pace sitter, pole setter. Gosh, this is why I don't call the opening lap very often. But here we go, racing at Kentucky for 90 laps here, round 3, ISRA Truck Series. Reagan to the front. Mole on the high side. Hearn underneath him. Here we are, Matt Wagner going down low. The draft will play a role here, but it's not as what we've seen in the past. Richie Hearn shooting to the front. Chris Reagan's going to have a big run on the high side here. Probably going to be 3 wide at the line. Getting there, almost there, just about there. 4 wide. Thinking about a sec, going into 1. 3 wide for sure. This is a very fun track. I do enjoy riding this track, whether it be trucks or IndyCar. I've done pretty well on both formulas here and myself, so I do enjoy this track. Richie Hearn now breaking out ahead as your leader. There we go. Fowler working his way up to the 5th spot. He's up 2 spots already. Good start for him. Michael Gray up 3 spots. Paddle back here in the back. Cristobal Valenzuela, last week's winner. We'll try to get you the point situation here momentarily. Back up front, Richie Hearn starting to put some distance between himself and Wagner now, who's worked his way up to P2. 0.4 of a second lead at the line. Dean Mall looking strong. He was strong last week. Again, not sure what happened, how his start, he fell back. But he was, like I said, integral in Lionel's win last week. So he's fast again. Here's Christopher Reagan. Chris Fowler, P5. Joe Hassert moving into the 6th spot. Hassert had a very quick race last week. Was sad to see that. We do have a fast repair this week. The stewards decided that they give that fast repair to everybody, just in case one of those big one happened. But it looks like right now we're getting a little separated. Michael Gray, the Bear, in that 888, up high, looking for that cushion in turns 3 and 4. Underneath him goes Sam Crow. Car down low. That's Rigney. Something happened to Rigney. What's going on to Rigney? And he punches out. So something happened to Rigney where he needs to do a reset. And unfortunately, it's going to be a tow. Back up front, it is still Richie Hearn.
No surprise to see Richie Hearn up at the front.
I hear him knocking at the door.
Yeah. So, my apologies. The Sebring race just decided to end. Oh, what fun that was!
Yes, Indy Open Sebring week.
That's right.
Out of the fire suit into the virtual suit, 3-piece suit.
You don't want to see me in a 3-piece suit.
The broadcasting duties. But yeah, we're early here, lap 8 of 90. Thanks for everyone for joining us. Make sure to smash that thumb there for thumbs up for liking the video. That always helps the algorithm. Make sure to also subscribe to the program. Subscribe to the channel. That's the biggest help of all right there. Ring the bell. So yeah, very early on, nothing's happened. We've been all green. Richie Hearn kind of jumped out front, kind of showing his prowess with a solid internet connection and a truck and behind the wheel of a truck. But he has moved his way up to 0.7 of a second lead over Wagner.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite tracks.
It is mine too. Mine too. Yeah, it is mine too.
Truly is. You know, this in New Texas. You know, when they tore those two places apart and redid with the variable banking on one end and made them wide and kind of flattened them out a little bit, I really thought that was the future. And Kentucky, unlike Texas, hasn't been messed up, so it doesn't have all that grip stuff up there. mess with the top line. And truly, I don't know what it is in the trucks, but these guys are used to running through here with an unlimited amount of lines through through 3 and 4, kind of like Texas is, where you have an unlimited number of choices when you go into turn 1 and 2 at Texas. Same here at Kentucky. And you should see these trucks as the tires heat up, especially, more or less all over the place.
Well, the point situation is as follows. Christopher Reagan and Lionel Callisto are tied for the lead in points with 79 points each. Right behind them is Sam Crow, 10 points behind, 69 points for him. Right, 1 point behind Sam Crow is Say Hey Lewis Hayes at 68, and Matt Wagner rounds out the top 5, really the top 4 now, because there is a tie at the top with 64. Right behind Matt is Michael Goodman at 63. So from P3 to P7 in the championship, you can pretty much cover them with a blanket for the moment. But 1 and 2 have a 10-point lead very early on in this championship, and that's a result of them getting up ahead of everybody and getting those wins in those first 2 races. But 13 laps into this thing, and we've separated out a lot of little packs around this place. Knowing the quality of these Lionheart drivers, I don't really anticipate really seeing any cautions once this field starts getting spread out.
No, you won't. Now, there are going to be comers and goers. The tires here are going to wear significantly, at least in my experience in these. The other part is that there is a way, and I don't see anybody doing it, but there is a way to drive these cars. These trucks are very much driven off the right rear. And so you're going to see, you might see some guys with the back end hung out a little bit. And if you do that, you're going to wear the right rear out. And guys are going to be saving tires. You can come and go here pretty good too. It's recently repaved, but it's still kind of a rough old racetrack, just because of the way the soil is. Very, very much an Appalachian, gritty mountain soil that they used to pave in. So you're going to see it's kind of like Darlington, where it might just be freshly repaved, but it's just fresh sandpaper.
Well, here's your big 3 gainers, and they are right here at the back of the pack working their way up. Alex Guyon up 8 spots. He's up to 11th. Lionel Callisto right there in the points championship. He is P12 on the racetrack right now, up 4 spots. And Brian Beard, again, no surprise there, up 5 spots. Those are your biggest gainers. Everyone in the back's kind of hanging out. I think maybe doing some tire management. Kind of led by Cristobal Valenzuela right in 14th. I'm not really sure kind of what they got going on in the back there, but they seem to be maybe more managing their gear.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of it, right? You got guys that are going to manage their stuff. You're going to see comers and goers. Just looking at the attitude of the cars, it kind of appears to me Matt Wagner might be driving a little bit harder into the corner. He's going to pick up time, but he might be in trouble later on in the run. Richie Hearn, we know, extremely smooth. His truck does not have that attitude of kind of being yawed out a little bit in the corners. It's just very smooth, very stuck. Watching him from the rear chase right now, his hands aren't moving around in the truck. You'd expect that from a caliber driver such as Richie, but he's ever so slightly drawn away, and that's something, Gary, that I've personally picked up and noticed when you race against these pro guys, right? CRC Anderson all the time. Whoa, Richie Hearn just
real wall. Close. Yeah, he's riding. As I said, they're riding that high line. There's a bit of a grip strip up there that they're trying to get a hold of, and he about sent it into the wall there.
Yeah, and so what I meant to say was, when you notice when you run against guys like Richie Hearn, RC Anderson, we race against a lot in Elite. We saw it when we saw it with the Okayama race when Oliver Askew showed up and whipped everybody. Pro drivers are just that much more smooth with everything. And so, like, if you went and watched Richie Hearn's telemetry, it wouldn't surprise me if he's a few percentage points less on the wheel inputs than his colleagues. And we see that across
Dean Mall at P2.
Yeah. We see that across just different skill levels. Like the Black Magic guys will run Phoenix. My hands will be at 10 to 12%. Andy will be solid on the wheel 20-30%. And he wonders why his right front's dead. They're turning the wheel so much. But that makes a difference. And so Richie very good at that. Mull and Wagner also very accomplished drivers. They know what the score is. So too Chris Fowler. So too Chris Fowler, Chris Reagan, Joseph Hassard. I mean, all these guys are really accomplished.
Should be no surprise early in this race. Richie Hearn with the purple lap, 171.676 miles per hour. Not too far from where they were actually kind of qualifying. They were qualifying in the 173s that were up at the front. A lot of people in the 172s. So in the same neighborhood, the pace here for the race pace is pretty similar to the qual pace here.
Yeah, it has been. And here's the other thing that Richie Hearn about ready to give me a heart attack, because every time he comes off the corner, he just barely grazes the wall in exactly the same spot. Did you notice that? Just every time coming off the corner.
He's consistent.
That's right. He's very consistent. But every time he comes off the corner, he just ticks the wall with the right rear in exactly the same spot. It probably hurt because he didn't do it that time.
We're seeing the field very spread out right now, but we're watching some wall shots here of Richie up close. Now down low. Oh, man, he's letting it hang out on the right side there. We saw that through the cam on the bottom of the banking. Oh, Dean Mull almost up into the wall there.
Yeah. These guys are letting the rough side drag for sure, Gary, which is good. It's good for us. It gives us something to watch and something to talk about. I think Richie hurt us because he was about half a car length off of it.
Let's take an opportunity to go through the field, take a look at the top 10. While these trucks are kind of spread out, Dean Mull worked his way up to P2. Again, we've talked about he had a strong race last week, but for whatever reason was way back in the pack. And looks like he's going to be in contention, or at least going to make a run at it this week. Matt Wagner, he's been in the hunt for the last three races, or last two races, and the hunt for the third one right here. He's currently P3. Christopher Fowler, he unfortunately, I think, had an incident where he got tied up on pit road, and that's what kind of cost him last week. But he has worked his way up 3 spots to P4. Joe Hassert and the Tide Ride got taken out in a wreck very early last week. But has stayed very clean in the Tide Ride. Not to make any type of pun there, but he's P5. Your points leader, or at least tied for the league with points, Christopher Reagan, is P6. The Bear, Michael Gray, in that 888, rocking P7 right now. Sam Crow and that good-looking number 8 Ghost scheme that he's sporting is in P8. John Van Voorellis, 3 wide. This is a big battle right here. Let's watch these guys. Goodman, Van Voorellis, and Guyan at the top side.
I thought Van Voorellis, that 78 got mighty wiggly in the middle right there.
Well, when he was in the middle, and I get wiggly too if I was in the middle, but Guyan now up 9 spots. So we'll take a look at him in P10. Unfortunately, that pass cost Van Voorellis a couple of spots. He is now down to 11th, but Goodman up to 9th. So that is the tour of your top 10, actually top 11 at the moment. 19 trucks in this race. But Mike Rigney, for whatever reason, is currently still on pit road, so he needed to fall out early. But he still shows in the race, but no longer making laps. There we go.
Yeah, so that's through the field. We've got 19 trucks here, 18 of them still on the lead lap. It is, as you say, going to spread out quite a bit. Not only just the nature of the track, but also really the nature of a lot of these guys not as familiar with this vehicle. So you're going to have different spreads of speeds and so forth. This is really the first. I don't want to say driver's track, but
No, I that's kind of what I would call it, because I think you need to have I think the other kind of tracks were kind of bury your right foot and stay in the draft and work with others. And this is a little bit more of a you need to be a bit of a you got to use your foot, you got to use the brake possibly. You definitely are using your hands a little bit more. To be smooth around this place. I don't want to say it's a driver's track, but it is what it is. It's a driver's track. And Dean Mall is cutting into this lead, by the way.
Yes, he is. If you put my 7-year-old in the rig, he could probably drive Daytona or Atlanta in one of these things. Not so much here, especially through the different end.
3 and 4.
You're really working hard. To get speed out of the thing. Dean Mall's going to be there in 2 or 3 laps. He's pretty much there now, but he's going to be there. And let's see if he can work over Richie Hearn. We're at a 3rd distance, by the way, Gary. So this thing's
already moving right along.
Yeah, I apologize. I was late. I changed got me. Normally you could do the open and have plenty of time. So.
And time change. Everything is an hour further back now for the official races, right? So it was an 8 o'clock start for you guys.
Yeah, it's been a good week for me at Sebring. It really has. Kind of noticed that on road courses, I know I fare a lot better if I don't have to look.
And Dean Mall to the lead.
Yeah.
That's a good pass, good clean pass. I don't think either one of them really fought each other too hard. I think Richie probably saw Dean was faster and kind of let him go without costing himself a lot of time. But he's also not costing himself a lot of distance. He's sticking right there. Draft does play a bit of a role here, doesn't it?
Yeah, draft is effective here. And Richie Hearn, given the way he had it kind of hung out there, using the slip angle of the truck, I would. If I had to be a guessing guy, if I was a betting man, I'd say his right rear might be a little wore out.
Oh, there he goes right to the wall.
Holy mackerel. His right rear might be wore out a little bit, and he's just, we're getting close to green flag pit stops. Hey, let's just take her easy and.
Well, we do have a fast repair, so if he does damage the truck too severely in this first run, that he could check that box and get the truck magically repaired on the first stop if he wants. So we do have a fast repair this week.
Now let's talk about that a minute, because what he's doing doesn't really hurt anything. I mean, these things aren't the tanks that the Cup cars are with the composite bodies. They do bend.
Matt Wagner to pit road. Matt Wagner to pit road.
They do bend a little bit, Gary, but they're not, they're not easily damaged. I mean, you got to hit something pretty hard. And there's
Lionel Callisto on pit road. Nope, no, not Lionel Callisto. There's another car behind. I can't really see who it is behind Matt on pit road.
Let's check it out. I'm waiting on Hearn and
Brian Beard. Brian Beard and a 21 of Hacker also in.
These guys would be on the short end of the pit cycle. The lap times here do fall off.
Wagner in the box, 14.8. Go ahead, keep talking.
Purple lap, 30.620. Last lap, 32.785 for Richie Hearn. 7:23 for Dean Mole. So these guys have lost 2 seconds from the beginning of the cycle to the end. This is where it gets dangerous, because you're gonna have guys out there running around 2 seconds a lap quicker.
Yeah,
you lose about a lap and a half, roughly. You know what I mean? So these guys are going to come out and they're just going to start eating them up.
Well, let's watch Wagner as he's now coming up to speed. This is his out lap. Actually, he's completed the out lap now. This is going to be the one that's going to really count. We'll see the timing and scoring as he comes around and hits the line, and with these fresh tires.
Right, so he's a lap down. Good in and out lap. Good in lap. What's it going to be for Matt Wagner?
$31.2.
It's going to take. It's going to take a lap or two. Alex Guyon, by the way, just set a personal best, 39.86. So these guys are going to be hauling. They're going to be hauling the mail. They're going to be hauling the hauling.
Now, Wagner on the high side of last week's winner. They get a good run off of 3. We'll see if he betters that time. Maybe the second lap is when the goodness of the tires are the richest. 31.5.
Yeah, he's not quite. Well, he's not got the preferred line now. He's got
a lot of traffic and a lot of traffic that he's way faster than. Dean Mall's still out there. 39 laps. He might be trying to do this in one stop. Just go to 45 and do another 45.
Well, and that's the risk. So, Matt Wagner has adopted the stand on it and go like hell strategy. This is what I did. So we had an elite race at Kansas, and I did that where it was a 100 lapper. I stopped at 34.68 and just stood on it.
Look at this group of cars on the backstretch.
They had guys that made it 50 laps on the tank. I couldn't make it that far anyway, so I just said, what's ahead? But
look at these cars that have the underneath Lewis Hayes here. That's Fowler and that's Hassert. Just got new tires, and they're just Hayes has not stopped yet. He's worked his way up to 7th. So right now, to kind of reset the field just really quick, and we'll let you get back into this, is the top 6, or top 9. Mall, Hearn, Gray, Reagan, Crow, Van Ellis, Hayes, Callisto, and Anzaldo have not pitted yet. They're staying out. They're going on the long run. The first truck to pit is this one right here. Wagner, Guyon, Fowler, Hassert, and Goodman are the next 5 that are among the early pitters. So different strategies going on, and Christopher Reagan went down to the bottom to kind of throw a little bit of a, well, it's my line for the moment, and I'm going to keep it, statement to Wagner, but Wagner scoots on by down the backstretch.
Yep, and what I meant to say is, so you're going to be faster. You're going to be faster. Pit delta, though, at a lap and a half, I mean, you're going to lose 45 seconds, essentially, doing that. Are they going to... They might get back on
3 wide, 4 wide going into 1. 2x2 now going into 1. Yeah, we're all sorts of different tire strategies are playing out with these guys right here. So they're all trying to hang on. This is maybe where the yellow does occur. Hopefully not.
It's the danger zone for it for sure. I'm watching Matt Wagner go by the 888. That's Michael Gray, and he's going to be winding up to the back of Richie Hearn here in just a second. So he's going to close in. I would expect
Christopher Reagan on pit road.
Absolutely, just a little bit short of that halfway mark. But what I meant to say is it didn't really work out for me. I led the middle. I led the middle 30 laps of the race. Then, when I had to make my extra stop, you
had to give all that back. Yeah.
If you're going to do what Matt Wagner is going to do, you need this cycle to go through, and then you need a caution about lap 70. Is what you need to have happen.
Christopher Reagan is down and away. So that might be his one and only stop. He did cross the line at 45 laps. I think he did, but he is down. I think he's down a lap. So we'll see how that impacts actually. Here comes Mall. He is pitting.
Yeah.
Hearn is pitting. Michael Gray is staying out. So the Bear is staying out. Lewis Hayes coming to pit road. Lionel Callisto staying out. Sam Crow staying out.
Just to kind of think about the difference in pace. So Richie Hearn fell off almost 3 seconds in that run. And him and Dean are going to come
George Anzaldo! Contact with Hugo Gallas. They both save it, but they're back underway. Could have been the moment where the guys staying out the longest were like, I got the break for the caution. Lewis Hayes pitting. Richie Hearn now coming off of pit road. Lewis Hayes should be coming off of pit road. If he didn't get a penalty, there he goes.
This is kind of a weird, for a mile and a half, Gary, this is kind of a weird track, not just because of the oblong nature of the corners, but the way the front stretch works. It's not quad oval like Atlanta or Charlotte or Texas. It's not really that gentle sweeping action of like Chicago or Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in between, and where those two hit, it's very, very easy to try. Truck or really any vehicle wants to get light right there.
How much faster Michael Goodman is around our leader right now?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? So now the guys that just stopped.
We still have 5 cars, another nickel, 5 trucks that have not stopped. It's Gray, Van Voorellis, who is, he is really slow in the corners compared to those that have changed tires. That's why he is coming in. Lionel Callisto is staying out. Sam Crow staying out. Sorry, George Anzaldo staying out.
Now, if you're going to pull this deal where you're going to do one stop, but Castillo, Gray, Crow, Vervalis, George, what them guys are doing actually might be the ticket. Because now your second run is going to be shorter. And it may seem trivial.
Less fuel, and they should have better tires at the end. If we have no caution, Michael Gray coming to pit road, Lionel Callisto on the apron, trying to bring it down, keep it under control, getting it to the cones, get it to the speed. Very good for him. Sam Crow staying out.
Oh, he's going to run it dry. But he's due in any time. It's got to be. It's not dry now.
George Anzaldo on pit road. So the last truck right now to not pit is Sam Crow, your leader.
Lap now, Gary.
But once he pits, it turns it over to Wagner, who has a huge, well, not a huge lead, but he has a decent margin over Chris Fowler.
Yeah, that's that short pit. Hearn and Mole were leading this deal. Wagner and them guys short stopped them. It was a 10 to 12 second advantage that they gained by doing that. The bad part is they're going to have to give it up and come back down pit road here very shortly. Sam Crow's still out on a racetrack.
Last time by, Crow's speed was last lap was a 33.8. This time by, it's going to be. There he is. Yeah. So it's going to turn it over to Wagner. Wagner passing pit road entry now, so he'll assume the lead just in a moment. Hassert P2. He and Fowler have been racing since we've talked last. But Hassert now a second and a half behind Wagner. Fowler 0.4 of a second behind Hassert. Guyon about 0.6 of a second behind Fowler. And Goodman, there's a big gap back to Goodman there. He's 3 seconds behind Guyon. So really now I think the race now potentially is in the hands of the top 4. They're going to have to stop again, right?
Yeah, I think the limit on fuel is what you saw.
Okay, so we are lap 53. Wagner stopped at 34, or lap 35. We're currently 18 laps on this current run. So if we go bring up the old handy-dandy calculator, and if he does the same strategy the second time around, so we go 35 plus 34.
Well, now theoretically, we just saw.
That's 69, so he's been about another 15 laps or so.
Well, now think about it. We just saw Sam Crow do 55 laps. So, Matt Wagner stopped at 35. He can theoretically be on fumes. He could theoretically make it if he wanted to, right? If he's saving.
And again, it's an interesting thing that we were talking about fuel strategy already. I mean, very few of these guys are native. I would call native truck drivers and on the Sims or on the service. There's a couple in here that are, But most of these guys are IndyCar drivers, and they're doing IndyCar strategies for pitting and for fuel conservation. Because I'm assuming that some of these guys right off the bat, right off the start of the green flag, went in the fuel conservation mode, which you don't see very often when it comes to real truck racing.
No, but an IndyCar guy would think.
But
that
IndyCar guy, absolutely. Sam Crow, he's got the good tires on at the moment, and he is passing Hassert. That's not for position. Crow looking to get back on the lead lap. He will catch Wagner here momentarily.
Well, and, the thing was, Sam Crow was up near 33 seconds a lap before he stopped. The deal is Matt Wagner.
He's 31 seconds a lap. Yeah, 2 seconds faster.
Yeah, well, so he's right now. Matt Wagner's running around 32.2. You know what I mean? So he wasn't all that much faster than Sam Crow. He had a lap and a half to make up on him to begin with.
He's giving Crow the bottom, coming off of 2. Crow gonna set sail. This will get him back on to the lead lap. He's now on the tail end of the lead lap. If you're just joining, this is Race First coverage of the ISRA Truck Series coming to you from Kentucky, where we completed 57 laps of a scheduled 90. If you enjoyed Race First coverage of tonight's race and would like to monetarily support us, please find the link to our GoFundMe campaign in the stream's description. And we realize times are tough, but any donation, no matter how much the amount, is greatly appreciated. Otherwise, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Tomorrow night will be round 1 of the IndyCar Fixed Series now is what they're calling it. They've changed so many different names. It was like the IndyCar Oval Series. Now it's the IndyCar Fixed Series. I wish they'd just make up their mind, but that's tomorrow night. Will be the first race at Iowa. And then Wednesday, we are back here with the ISRA. I don't know if you'll be a part of this one as well, Murph, if you'll be on the racetrack or not, but we are going to go DW12 racing at Charlotte with these guys.
So I have to check my deal because I do admin the Elite Racing League Cup Series on Wednesday night. So I get to use my fancy admin box for its intended use. You just hit a button and you can throw somebody right on out. It's a pretty amazing deal. All sorts of interesting commands on that thing. Dean Mole, by the way, Dean Mole and Richie Hearn are hauling mail. They're coming. The good is now gone from Matt Wagner's tires. Mole and Hearn have chopped out something like 7 to 10 seconds out of Matt Wagner since they stopped. Dean Mole 31.9 at last lap. Matty Wagner 32.3. So they're coming to the tune of anywhere between 3/10 to a half second a lap.
Great race. Everyone's done a great job keeping it off the wall, keeping it off each other. A little bit of bumping and banging, but you kind of expect that a little bit with the trucks. But this is a great race. Everyone's doing a good job.
I like I like these. I really do. I love this tactical deal where there's not a lot of cautions and you got to figure out the strategy, the thing, and everybody's kind of on their own agenda. It may not look like so much on TV. They're running around single file and not running over each other. But this is very much a thinking person's race. A lot of these guys, if you race against them, they're very much thinkers. They can outthink you just as well as they can drive around.
Yeah, a little bit more chess, a little less checkers.
Yeah, this isn't the Draft Masters that you would go watch. On a Friday night in
right. Hassert digging into this lead here. Let's reset the field real quick after this pit stops. It is Wagner. Hassert is digging into this lead at the moment. Mole is back right there behind Anzaldo. Anzaldo is currently a lap down in 15th. So we go to Fowler there in P4. Richie Hearn. Now Fowler's pitting. Fowler is pitting. This will be his last stop. His last stop. Yep.
He's going to blink, and I would expect Matt Wagner will be along very shortly. Mole cut another 3/10 off that lap. Them boys are coming. Well, in 3/10, it's more like half a second.
Yeah, he's so fast right now. We're going to just have to name him Darth Maul.
well, and they're coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're Wagner, you want to stop now.
Yeah, and then that's exactly what he's doing. Is Matty Wagner, as you mentioned, to go into pit road. Hopefully he got slowed down. You don't want to see any penalties impact how this race is going to end. So now Hassert to the lead.
What I meant to say is if you're going to make that two-stop strategy, you need to make the time more in your favor. So if he stays out another lap, he dooms himself. Right, but he still had, 4-second pushing over Mall there.
Yep.
Time to pull it in.
So
and I would expect we're going to see Joseph soon, too.
Hassert in the Tide Ride P1, Mall P2, Richie Hearn P3. Now Hearn is 3.3 seconds behind Mall at the moment. Reagan, one of your co-points leaders in P4, looking for a good points payoff right now. If the race were to end, he's got a nice another top 5 he's looking at. Right behind him, Michael Gray. He was one of the late stoppers, and right now he is really fast, and he is all over the tailgate of Reagan on the backstretch. Looking to the inside going into 3 and 4. He is going to get that position, and he's going to be right on top of Richie Hearn here in probably another lap and a half or 2 laps or so. He is really flying at the moment. Brian Beard up 12 spots to P6. He is pretty much by himself on an island at the moment. Right behind him is last week's winner, Lionel Callisto. So he is, if he gets a couple more positions and some bad luck in front of him, he's looking at another good points-paying day. John Van Voor Ellis, P8 there in the Texas Roadhouse truck. And Sam Crow, one of the late stoppers, he is 9th. And Hugo Gallas has worked his way very quietly up to 10th. Those are all the trucks on the lead lap.
Yes, he has. Hugo, normally one of our more aggressive friends, but here just kind of a quiet ho-hum, minds his business, and he's up to 10th. Sam Crow, by the way, your leader for a while. He's now sitting 9th after his pit stop. Richie Hearn has only made it back to
Michael
7th.
Gray now is up to 2nd.
Yeah. And Gray, he's got the fresher tires. Remember, he stayed out till lap 50, so he's got 4 lap fresher tires than Mole. Also,
he doesn't have to stop.
No, he's not going to have to stop. Dean's not going to have to stop. Neither, I wouldn't think, would Christopher Reagan.
Reagan, right there on the edge. He did 43 laps on his first stint.
Yeah, he's right there. I would suspect he's not stopping again. Lionel Callisto.
And here's Wagner. He's out and back up the speed. He's to the 31.1 on new tires and light tank. If he does another lap next time by, even faster.
Yeah, I would suspect he's going to be right there. Hugo Gallo's up to 7th now.
This time by 31.2. So not as fast as I thought, but still pretty fast. And he's coming up to P2, Michael Gray. Craig just gives him the bottom.
Well, it's not so much that you give the guy the bottom there. The 12 has so much grip.
Yeah.
He's just able to turn it down. The AAA, he's older tires.
He's racing a different strategy right now. So he's really not racing the people around him so much as he's really racing the strategy in the racetrack.
That is right. So, just like Darlington or Rockingham or somewhere like that, here you don't so much race the other cars or trucks. You're racing a racetrack. That's true of any vehicle at this facility, just because pavement's so rough. It chews the tires up.
This is a battle right now. Sorry not to cut you off. This is a battle between 9th and 10th, Guyan and Fowler, and they got a slower truck involved, and that is Michael Gray, who's P2, 3 wide. Gray, I think, is going to wisely let him go again. He's on a different strategy. But Guyan has a nose out in front of Fowler. Fowler drives it in deep down to the bottom of 1 and 2. Got a car coming off of pit road on the bottom there. There's Gallas. So making his final stop.
He just pitted lap 71, so he's the last one, I believe, to stop. But needed to do so. and he'll come back out. Hugo's going to come back out 16th, I believe.
Now, that was his second stop. He lapped on first stint was 35 laps, so he almost did another. He did another 35, really. So he's on a bit of a strategy there. Back up front, Dean Darth Maul showing him how it's done. P1, Michael Gray now is starting to fall back about 4 seconds behind P2. Again, Maul and Gray are racing an entirely different race right now. We believe that they are done. Maul stopped at 46, which is just past halfway, so theoretically he should be able to go to distance. And Gray went 50. So Gray actually should be a little bit lighter with better tires. He should dig into Maul here a little bit, but he's not getting there at the moment. Christopher Reagan, currently P3. Reagan stopped at 44. He is right on the edge if he indeed did stop with a pretty dry tank. We'll see. Lionel Callisto.
So here comes a move that's really important. Matt Wagner just passed Dean Maul.
Yeah, we're watching it right now.
Back on the lead. It's going to put him back on the lead lap.
Yeah,
and what
P7.
that does now, so yeah, it's P7, but he unlaps himself. And so caution flies. Now he's right back with leaders.
Yep.
We know he's going to speed. So that's a huge, huge move. He's got 25 laps. Right now he is about a second a lap quicker than Dean Maul. And so, you know, he's
in the neighborhood of catching him if he keeps that pace up at the end of this run.
He could get
in the neighborhood. Yeah,
he's going to be up there. He's going to be about he would get up to conceivably 5 or 6 seconds, which would put him third or fourth. I don't know if he could get all the way back, but he's going to get close.
Here's Lionel Callisto. We're just getting ready to talk about him. He has worked his way up to fourth. Callisto stopped at 50. He is good to go to the end. So we have possible point implications now, because right in front of him is Christopher Reagan, who is on the verge, at the very edge, I think, of making this on the one stop. Callisto is good to go to the end. So can Callisto run down Reagan? Now, Callisto is 8 seconds behind at the moment from Reagan. So this is we'll see how this battle brews out here in the next 12 laps or so. John Van Voorellis, he is P5. He is on an island all by himself at the moment. And really, if he just keeps this position, he's looking at a good points-paying finish in the top 5 here. Sam Crow has worked his way up to 6th, and Matt Wagner, as we mentioned, is up to 7th. But joining Wagner now in the lead lap is Fowler in 8th and Guyan in 9th. So more trucks are passing. Hassard actually passed Dean Maul, and he's back on the lead lap. Looks like Hugo Galez is going to get one of his laps back from Dean Maul. But again, Dean is now racing an officially different race than everybody else around him.
Yeah, I mean, he sees those trucks. He knows, you know, I'm sure these guys all have race labs up. They know when each other's pitted. You know, he knows what the gaps are. He knows that they are
10, coming to 10 to go. Yeah, yeah.
Y'all just go right on ahead.
Help yourself.
Yeah. So knock yourselves out. You still got to.
And he's pulling away from Gray. He's still pulling away from Gray. Gray was about 3.2, now about 3.4 behind at the moment. He might be in traffic. Let's go get the camera on him. Yeah, he's got a little bit of traffic around him.
Well, and just, you know, we know that Dean Maul had the raw pace, too, where, you know, Goodman really hasn't, not Goodman, Michael Gray, I mean, he hasn't had that raw pace that Maul and Hearn and some of these other guys have had, Matt Wagner.
Yeah, but he's had a very consistent pace over the last, go ahead.
You've seen somebody you know do that repeatedly to finish second and third over and over and over again, haven't you?
Maybe.
Very quietly look up.
Consistent pace, yeah. Consistent pace. That says a lot. If we just keep consistent pace, especially over a long run when the tires wear off. But he is now, but he's not out of trouble yet, because Christopher Reagan is down to a second behind him and might catch him by the time this race is over. I don't think anyone's going to catch Dean Maul unless he gets himself in the trouble. Reagan might run him down. Now we see Richie Hearn, one of our early leaders, He is probably going to get his lap back and put him back on the lead lap. He is P11th. Mull lets him go. 8 laps to go.
That's pretty wild because Richie Hearn led from Dean Mull earlier, and when they stopped, it was what, 2 seconds?
Yeah.
2 seconds, maybe 3 was the gap.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting development that Richie Hearn is a lap down. Of course, he did stop again, so he stopped at lap 68. I think he had enough on the
Reagan's coming. Reagan's coming.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Another 10th that time. 6/10 the gap.
He needs to get around George, though. George is kind of separating the two right now. I suspect he will get around George. George probably knows the time's running low, and I think it's a battle for position. George is going to stay high. Reagan's going to stay low. Going to get a good run off the bottom, going high on the corner exit. Going to get into the draft of Anzaldo.
Oh.
Down to the apron a little bit.
It does help. Dirty air does not really disturb these things all that much. It's not the huge deal that
that big front end valence, yeah. It's
these trucks have the same wind tunnel numbers roughly as a brick anyway, so it's kind of hard to. They're not. Adrian Newey did not design these things. That's for sure.
6 to go. Mull is still the leader by 4 seconds over Gray. Gray hanging on, hemorrhaging time at the moment, but he's still in the P2 position. Christopher Reagan, the points leader, the co-leader. He is currently stalking at the moment. Lionel Callisto, the other points leader, 8 seconds behind. Not going to play a role in this unless we get a caution late and we pack this field up. Jinx. Hopefully I did not jinx it. But we're coming now to 4 to go, I think, as Mull. Yep, we just ticked the 4 to go.
4 to go.
And I bet you Gray's like, I want these next 4 laps to go by as quickly as possible.
It was stable that time. So Michael Gray was actually about a 10th quicker than Christopher Reagan.
Was he possibly saving something here for the end, saying, okay, I'm going to let him get to a certain number and then I'm going to go, maybe? Or?
I mean, you do that. You do that. Let the guy behind you burn up his stuff and keep a little bit in reserve. Absolutely, could be doing that. 6/10 now, so Reagan a little.
It's kind of stabilized a little bit at 6/10.
Well, and Michael Gray has Lewis Hayes in front of him to kind of draft off of a little bit. So it's not like Reagan is in the draft and Michael Gray doesn't have any help. He's got Lewis Hayes sitting out there right in front of him, and that does help you a little bit. Two very different lines. You mentioned saving some stuff. Michael Gray taking that second lane. Christopher Reagan, I believe, is going to have to buy the yellow line dinner after this is over because he was riding down on the bottom, 2, 3, and 4. But Gray, he's up in that second lane, which. Very effective in saving tires.
All right, white flag in the air, this time for Dean Darth Mull. We're going to give him that moniker. If he doesn't have it already, he is going to get it now. White flag in the air. Dominant truck all race long at the front. One stopper using IndyCar strategy. How do you keep out in front of a race? Well, you keep running where other people aren't. And how do you keep running when other people aren't? You only do one less pit stop than everybody else. And that's exactly what he decided to be his strategy tonight, and that's exactly the strategy that's going to win him here. Round 3 at Kentucky in the ISRA Truck Series. Demo, your winner tonight.
At Kentucky, and Michael Gray is going to hold Christopher Reagan off. He actually pulled out 3/10 on those last 2 laps. So Michael Gray second, Christopher Reagan a very
Lionel Callisto, another good points paying race. Two straight top 5s for him. Christopher Reagan 3 straight top 5s, actually 3 straight podiums. Van Ellis top 5 as we suspected he would. Sam Crow getting there close. We've got a whole bunch of cars still racing behind him. Pat Wagner, Hassert, Fowler, and Guyan.
but it doesn't stop just because the leader crosses the line. Right? You gotta keep going if you're in the back there. Poor Richie Hearn, he's almost a full lap down, so he's gonna run into guys doing donuts, and he's gonna finishing the deal off. But what a fun race to watch.
Yeah, no cautions. Great job by its entire field. Let's take a look at the final standings. Dean Mall, your winner. Michael Gray, Christopher Reagan, that is your podium there. Lionel Callisto, John Van Voorellis with his best finish here of the first 3 races this season. Congrats to him. Sam Crow, Matt Wagner, Joe Hassert, Chris Fowler, Alex Guy in your top 10. Richie Hearn, P11, Michael Goodman, 12. George Anzaldo, quietly up to 13th. Brian Beard, 14th. Cristobal Valenzuela, 15th. Hugo Gallas, 16th. Say Hey Lewis Hayes, looks like he might have had a pit road penalty. He's back to 17th. Ron Hacker, 18th. And Mike Rigney, not sure what happened to him, but very early on had to make a retirement for, looks like maybe something that happened at the home base there. Hopefully everything's okay. He finishes 19th.
Let's see, we've got Christopher Reagan and Dean Mall down in the waiting room. I do not believe Michael the Bear Gray is in the general chat yet. So,
all right. Well, let's bring up Christopher Reagan.
Yeah.
Hey, Christopher, got you in the booth. 3 for 3, 3 podiums. I got a win and 2 other podiums. I mean, you can't get much better than that to start the season. Congrats.
Thank you guys again. It's always nice being in here chatting with you guys. And yeah, I mean, I love it. I've worked so hard in the Lionheart series, and it's transitioned over to this. And yeah, I don't have too much to say this week.
Go ahead, Murph.
I got a question though. So you had a lot of guys around you doing 2 stops. You elected to go with 1. What was your calculus in choosing 1 stop over 2?
So right off the bat, I didn't practice much. I just got back to town today, and I wasn't sure what the tires were going to do. I qualified well, but even in the qualifying and the few laps I did in practice, I felt the tires drop off. I pushed it a little too hard on the first stint, but I knew I could make it on fuel. So then what I did was, Richie Hearn's my teammate, and he was like, you know what, I'm going to box. Everybody else was, half the field it looked like box. I'm like, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to stay out because we had like 30 laps to go, and who cares if they're a second faster? They had to catch me. And so I slowed it down about 0.4 of a second and just ran like a 32.3, 32.4, 32.3. And I was able to run that all the way to the end.
Well, we got next coming up is Michigan, where we kind of we talked about Kentucky kind of being the first driver's track. The first 2 tracks were kind of drafting pack races. It's a little bit more of a driver's track. And I think Michigan is going to be kind of a little bit like what we saw today. What's your thoughts on going to Michigan? And then your chief rival now, at least in the early points situation, is Callisto finished right behind you. So you came into this race tied with him in the points lead. Now you're going to have a slight margin over him, but he's still right there with you. So your thoughts of the points championship, because now we're halfway through the season, or coming up to the halfway point at least next week, and we're going to Michigan. What are your thoughts?
In my head, I'm going crazy. It's very exciting. I take sim racing, serious, just like my real life racing, and I'm extremely excited. But at the same time, I'm not thinking about it too much. All I can do is what I can do, and I just have to be clean and try to be as smart as possible. And that's what we've done so far. I haven't done anything too risky. And it's just been paying off. So hopefully that streak continues, but everybody's going to figure out these trucks. These guys are awesome in these leagues that we run. And once they, I think, get a better handle on it, it's not just going to be what it's been. I mean, it's going to be a battle at the front for sure.
Well, congratulations on P3. Still your points leader going into Michigan. Congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, that's Chris. We got the Bear. He's here. Let's bring him on up. It's our pleasure to bring the Bear up into the booth here, and you had a not a bear of a race, but definitely you attacked it like a bear. Coming up 7 spots, finishing second here. Really went deep into that first run before making your one and only stop, and you kind of went from there. You held off Christopher Reagan there in the final laps. It looks like it was a battle that was kind of developing, but then he could never quite get to you. Were you saving something for them at the end? Did you know he was coming?
No, not really.
No?
I just I was just kind of struggling to really find that line into 3 and 4 because I was down in the groove. I was up high, lifting early, lifting late, but yes, somehow I managed to keep the tires in fresh shape after that first stop. And I mean, I was expecting a late race caution to bring everyone together with fresh tires and hopefully steal the win, but alas, didn't happen. But I'll gladly take P2.
Go ahead, Murph.
Yeah, so Gary actually stole my question. I was going to ask if you were saving something. You were one of the cars that was consistently running up in that second or third groove through 3 and 4, the odd end of the oval. What'd you find up there that made you so fast, my friend?
Honestly, I really don't know. It's just I've never really driven this new version of Kentucky, so I really didn't know the line or what lines was best for 3 and 4, but sometimes I just felt like, hey, just lift off a bit earlier, then mash the throttle to just get that speed back up and not really bog down coming out of 3 and 4. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work, but I still managed to keep the distance.
Yeah, well, good show.
Yeah, good show for sure. Yeah, next
very
week is sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but next week we're going to more of a traditional oval. It's D-shaped, but it's a little bit more high speed. You don't have one end that's kind of oddly banked than the other. What are your thoughts going to Michigan in these trucks? My experience in these trucks at Michigan, and they're about as fun as an Indy car at Michigan. I mean, you could get into the pack races, but after a while, you're going to really have to manage those tires. Did you learn anything with tire management from this race that you can apply toward Michigan?
No, not really. Again, it's more of I just went, screw it, I'm gonna go as deep as I can and just do what I can. And in terms of Michigan, I am excited. I'm very excited for it. I haven't really driven it in the trucks in a long time, and I love racing it in the Indy car, and I'm just hoping to hopefully do well over there, and hopefully with a completely brand new steering wheel and kit.
That's right.
So,
new Moza equipment hopefully is on its way to you. So congratulations on that.
yeah, I'm very excited for the going from Thrustmaster. If you ever watch this, I'm sorry, but I love your TSPC racer. But I was thinking about going that 818, but after hearing that Moza has released a truck and steering wheel, I'm sorry. That stole my heart.
Well, before you retire that Thrustmaster, it got you a podium. So congratulations. We look forward to seeing you next week. And it's good to see you here on the podium this week for your first podium of the series.
Hell yeah. Great way. Good way to start. And I need to give us some to handle.
There you go. Yeah, we could use the extra competition. Well, congratulations, Michael the Bear Gray. We will catch you next week at Michigan.
Catches. Hopefully I see you again.
Yeah. And let's bring up Dean Mall. Dean, man, congratulations. You played a role in last week's victory. Hopefully Lionel has somehow compensated you for that. I don't know what happened to you last week, but we knew you were bad fast, and you were bad fast again today. And once you passed Richie for the lead, it was off to the races for you. Never gave it back. Hit your pit stop perfectly, did your one stopper, kept the lead, and just drove away with the thing there at the end. Was there any moment there where you're like, I don't have control of this race whatsoever?
Yeah, I think when Matt pitted and those guys who kind of split it up into two stops, I had a little bit nervous there, started doing math in my head. It's going to work out. And I'm like, oh, I only got, 10 laps till I'm going to pit. I'll just ride it out and see how it works.
Go ahead, Murph.
Yeah, so very, very impressive drive to the win. You had him covered basically in all phases of the run. My thought is, are you consciously saving tires through the middle to kind of get through the end, or were you just giving it as much as it would handle?
No, I was definitely driving it easy. On the first run, just kind of trying to keep up with everybody. I was driving a little bit harder than I wanted to. And then once I got myself in the habit of braking early into 3, I was really floating the car, and they're even using the brakes sometimes. And I think that was the biggest difference for everybody else. My spotter came on the radio with 5 laps to go in that run and gave me the warning that my right front was worn.
Uh-oh.
That's no fun.
No, fortunately hung on until the pit stop. And the second run, I actually came out much easier and ended up not getting that warning on the second run. So learned a little bit from the first to the second. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely nice to have some pace and tire wear. That was definitely a big difference, just not dropping off over the run.
Next week, we're going to Michigan. I would expect that a lot of what you learned here for tire strategy is going to be applied there even more so, since we're going to be a little bit faster. 2 weeks in a row, you're among you're again, not sure what happened to you at Atlanta, but we knew you were fast there because we saw what happened and kind of how that finish played out. You were fast here. Probably expect to see you fast again at Michigan. Another good finish is really going to get you up into this points championship. Still early days. What are your thoughts as we move to Michigan and look at the series the schedule going forward? You got a chance of getting up into this thing with Lionel and Christopher as well?
Man, I don't know. Those guys are quick, and I'm honestly kind of taking it week to week. So I've been there every week. You mentioned Atlanta. I had a technical issue, so I missed the start of the race, 10 laps down. But once I got going, it was pretty good. Even Daytona, I was right behind Chris Reagan when the accident happened, but my engine blew up, so I couldn't actually rejoin in the queue. So I was happy to be up front and having speed every race. That's this league's about having fun and just taking it week to week, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, let's go ahead and let you, while you're here, give you a chance for some shout-outs. Anybody you want to say hi to, teammates, friends, family, sponsors, go right ahead. You earned it with the win tonight.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I just want to thank Mike Rigney for putting this on. It's definitely a great group of guys. I mean, the fact we went caution-free tonight, I think just shows the caliber of driver, even equipment and trucks that we don't usually run. Thanks to George for Lionheart. He brought this group together. Well-appreciated break this year, and looking forward to getting back with that. And then you guys at Racer for doing the broadcast. I mean, it's a big commitment for you guys also. I've watched every broadcast this year. You guys put on a great show, so keep it up. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Well, congratulations. Go ahead, Murph.
It's our pleasure, Dean. Enjoy the money and the trophy, man. You earned it for sure.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm pumped up, man. This was a fun one. It was a really good race. Like I said, to go caution free, and
yeah,
the way it worked out, it was definitely enjoyable, and I felt like I earned it. So thank you.
Congrats, you definitely did. We'll see you next week in Michigan.
All right, take care.
Hey, Dean.
All right. Well, I really like Michael's strategy. It just really, he didn't want to say it, but he sounded like, I just kind of wung it. I just kind of went out there and threw some laps together and came home with a P2.
These guys are obviously having fun and away from sometimes the big time leagues, the Lionhearts, the IESs, the elites, they can get kind of pressurized a little bit. So it's good to see it's good to see these guys just having fun racing cars. They're all kind of out of their element. They're all doing something they're not used to doing it together. Tonight was an amazing race, Gary. If you'd have told me 19 of the best open wheel drivers in the service could put together a caution-free truck race at Kentucky, I probably would have thought, man, I might have expected something different. But they put on a great show, multiple strategies, guys coming, guys going, guys trying to do 2 stops, guys saving gas. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I can't wait for Michigan. If this is any indication of what Michigan is like, and the racing is probably going to be fairly similar, we're going to be in for a treat.
And it looks like the standings have been updated. And Christopher Reagan is your leader by 1 point over Lionel Callisto. We do want to give Lionel a shout out. He improved 12 spots from his spot way back in the back to come up to fourth. A great run for him. I think it's going to be indicative of how this championship is going forward. Sam Crow, we talked a lot about him today. He is third in the points, about 11 behind Callisto, and Matt Wagner's fourth, and Dean Mall. You said it. He's right there. He's now in this points championship, despite having to disconnect at Atlanta and the incident at Daytona. He is right there. He's just 2 points behind Wagner for fourth. So your top five is pretty close, but the top two are even closer by 1 point separating Reagan and Callisto. So next week, this tight battle moves on to Michigan. And I think that does it for today. I mean, I thought it was a great race. I think these guys did a fantastic job. It sounds like everyone's having fun. There's not that Lionheart pressure, but there's that Lionheart camaraderie that we all have, and I think that's the most important thing. So, congratulations to the podium once again. D-Mall, your winner. Michael Gray finishes second. Christopher Reagan finishes third. Join Mark and me again next week for round 3 of the ISRA. That's going to be round 4 of the ISRA Truck Series as team and drivers head to Michigan. And we've seen some great races there in IndyCar. I don't expect anything different here for the trucks. I expect another good race next week. Coverage begins right around 8:55 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's 8:55 p.m. Eastern. As always, you can find everything right here on YouTube at youtube.com/RaceFirst. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not an easy one to play, so please help support RaceFirst with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know about tonight's race. And if you enjoyed tonight's coverage, support us by smashing the like in the video. If you are new, click subscribe. You're while you at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders to help us out on more of Race Versus other iRacing programming, including tomorrow night, Indy Fixed Series, Top Split, Week 1, Iowa, and then Wednesday night, we're going to go round 1 at Charlotte and DW12, so the ISRA DW12 series. A lot of these same drivers will be making an appearance Wednesday night at Charlotte. We'll be bringing that to you. Keep your browser set here for the most in-depth IndyCar knowledge and all of iRacing. RaceFirst, we know what Indy means. For business inquiries, learn more about RaceFirst and what we do, visit racefirst.com or like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. So for Mark Murphy, everyone at RaceFirst, I'm Gary Gotson saying all good night. Thanks for watching, and to all our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again right here next week in Michigan for the next race of the ISRA Truck Series. Good night.